Welcome, guys. It's Scott here from Oak Societies, here to drop another episode of amazing content for you on this beautiful Monday, September 23rd, 2019. Lots of stuff going on as usual. Lots of news breaking over the weekend, and there's so many. I have so much content, guys. Like, I have enough content to fill up an entire week already on the burner, which is fantastic. We're going to be getting into Facebook finally declares himself being a publisher versus a platform, and we'll get into that. We're going to, of course, get into the Trump and Biden fiasco, and we're going to see how Trump has used the media again against themselves and now is going to expose Biden. Oh, let me turn off my phone real quick. Get that down. So we're going to look into that. We're going to look into, of course, the Google has made its first quantum supercomputer, and we're going to talk about how scary that is. And, of course, the big news of the day, we're going to be talking about all the climate change shit that was going on over the weekend. The poster child girl, we're going to get into her as well, the 16-year-old that's being backed by the UN now, which is absolutely hilarious. And we're going to get into the real nature of climate change, the real facts of what's really going on, real research not being influenced by corporate media America or any of those guys, right? So just again, before I start, a quick shout out to all my fans and followers. We're at like 431, which is fine. The YouTube's gone up and down in the last couple of days as far as subscribers, but it's really no big deal. We're talking about maybe 2 subscribers, but that could be anything. Who knows? But it doesn't matter. The channel's growing, social media is growing, it's all growing thanks to you guys. So again, I appreciate all the help, all the support, and just everything you guys have been giving me. So let's jump into it and let's see what the news brings us today. So this is from RT.com, routers. Not a free speech platform. Facebook declares it's a publisher and can censor whomever it wants, walking into a legal trap. The headline says a lot right there, guys. But let's get into the article here. Facebook has invoked its free speech right as a publisher, insisting its ability to smear users as extremists is protected, but its legal immunity thus far has rested on a law which protects platforms, not publishers. So which is it? Facebook has declared it has the right as a publisher to exercise its own free speech and bar conservative political performance artist Laura Loomer from its platform. Even calling her a dangerous extremist is allowed under the First Amendment because it's merely an opinion. Facebook claims in its motion to dismiss the lawsuit filed by Loomer. But Facebook has always defined itself as a tech company providing a platform for a user's speech in the past, a definition that has come to appear increasingly ridiculous in the era of widespread politically motivated censorship. Now, the not-so-neutral content platform has redefined itself as a publisher now, equipped with a whole new set of rights but bereft of the protections that have kept it safe from legal repercussions in the past. So just to give you guys a quick background, I've talked to this on my videos before, probably about 2 months ago. Facebook, when you hear Facebook, you always hear it as a social media platform. And when a company makes themselves a platform for people to use, especially online, people are allowed to post pretty much almost anything they want. And if it's something racist, something, terroristic, anything like that, let's say, for example, Facebook is not liable or can get in trouble for that person posting on Facebook about that. But at the same time, Facebook now, as we all know, and Google, YouTube, Twitter, all of them, they are all blocking content, censoring content. And if you're a platform, you're not supposed to be doing that. But if you're a publisher, you can. You have the right to dictate what's on your website, what your site is about, what people can post on there. And for years, guys, since Facebook came out, they distinguished themselves as a platform. But now, all of a sudden, they are admitting publicly that they consider themselves as a publisher, and that gives them the right to censor anybody that they deem as an extremist, conspiracy theorist, or whatever hate speech means, whatever that is. So this is what we're getting into now. They admitted this publicly a couple days ago. Under well-established law, neither Facebook nor any other publisher can be liable for failing to publish someone else's message. Facebook's motion to dismiss Loomer's defamation suit reads, justifying its decision to ban her from the platform. It also points out that terms like dangerous or promoting hate cannot be factually verified and are thus constitutionally protected opinions for a publisher, which also claiming it never applied either term to Loomer, despite banning her from the platform under its dangerous individuals policy. Dangerous people, guys. Defining itself as a publisher opens Facebook up to lawsuits for defamation and other liability for the content users publish, something very previously immunized against. All the lies, personal attacks, and smears launched by users going forward can now be laid at Facebook's feet. That's a Pandora's box that they may not want to open, legal analyst and radio host Lionel told RT. Whatever they say, platform or publisher, their words will haunt them legally from now on. Platforms like Twitter or Google, and until now apparently Facebook, are protected from the legal consequences of their users' speech by Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. Facebook even makes reference to Section 230 later in its motion, suggesting that it is trying to have its cake and eat it too. And look at this quote, guys. This is my favorite part of the article. All Facebook has to do now is what it says it is, but you can't be an agent of the deep state anymore if you can't pick and choose which information is allowed. Amazing stuff. So now that Facebook has publicly said they are a publisher now, they can technically go in and censor you and consider and sell you that by their standards you are using hate speech, you're a dangerous individual by their standards, and they can ban you from their platform. But they were already doing this for years and years and years, but they were claiming their platform to avoid lawsuits and whatever else. So that happened. Just wanted to give you guys that heads up on Facebook now. But the social media wars, all the big tech media, it's just heating up. Antitrust is coming. Trump's going to nail these guys, and I can't wait for it. So speaking of Trump, you guys all heard about this. The quid pro quo fiasco with Biden and the Ukraine, right? Somebody leaked at the Washington Post that Trump was pressuring the Ukrainian president or somebody from Ukraine to do something, that was illegal, and they were going to use this to impeach Trump. This was going to be it. The Mueller report didn't work. All of our other attempts didn't work. This is going to be it. It's actually backfired, and not only that, it's exposing more of the mainstream media once again. And now, instead of going after Trump, the stories of Joe Biden are opening up and into his son with his dealings with China and also the Ukraine. So let's take a look. The Trump-Biden-Ukraine drama just implode. WAPO reports no quid pro quo offered during phone call. So everybody wanted to know what Trump was saying on that phone call. Was it something illegal? Was it something we could impeach him on? Let's take a look. The latest smoking gun Democrats have been clinging to in search of that ever-elusive Trump impeachment may have just imploded after the Washington Post quietly reported on Friday evening that a July 25th phone call between President Trump and Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky did not contain an explicit quid pro quo. If Ukraine launched an investigation into former Vice President Joe Biden's son, as it initially reported. While President Trump did reportedly pressure the recently elected leader to more aggressively pursue the investigation, Trump did not raise the issue of American military intelligence and intelligence aid that have been pledged to Ukraine, indicating there was not an explicit quid pro quo in that call. Of course, it has been reported that there was multiple calls. However, one might think that the Washington Post super high-level anonymous government source would have access to the others as well, and ostensibly would have leaked the most damaging information available. And again, the Washington Post, if they did have something that would damn Donald Trump, it would have been out the first second they had it. But they didn't, as usual. The call is a part of a broader set of facts included in the whistleblower complaint that is at the center of a showdown between the executive branch and Congress, with officials in the Trump administration refusing to divulge any information about the substance of an August 12th report to the Inspector General of the U.S. intelligence community. The revelation that Trump pushed Zelensky to pursue the Biden probe, which was first reported by the Wall Street Journal, represents the most detailed account so far of the president's conduct that prompted a U.S. intelligence official to file whistleblower action against the president. And that's, of course, the Washington Post. So the current U.S. president asked Ukraine to conduct a legal investigation into the former U.S. vice president. And this is why. Because he openly bragged about withholding $1 billion in U.S. loan guarantees unless they fired the guy investigating his own son, Hunter Biden, and his son's company. And there was no quid pro offered in exchange for that investigation, at least not on that phone call. Given all the attention that the mainstream media and congressional Democrats have poured into their latest smoking squirt gun, they continue to ignore whatever shady schemes Biden may have engaged in and are instead pushing the Trump election interference and White House cover-up angles after the Trump administration prevented acting Director of National Intelligence Joseph McGuire from sharing material contained in a whistleblower complaint about the phone calls. I'll tell you this, somebody ought to look into Joe Biden's statement where he talked, this is Trump talking, where he talked about billions of dollars that he's not giving to a certain country unless a certain prosecutor is taken off the case. Now, doesn't that sound like quid pro quo to you? Offering something of value in return for his service? So somebody ought to look into that, and you wouldn't because he's a Democrat, and the fake news doesn't look into things like this, and it's a disgrace. Trump told reporters at the White House. Well, it's going to be looked into now, guys. It's definitely going to be open now because, again, the Democrats tried attacking Trump, looking for anything they can possibly do to even get any kind of impeachment on the floor, and it's not going to happen. It's so pathetic. It's so pathetic at this point. And now it's turned against Biden himself, and the Democrats and the mainstream media all have shit on themselves. The president then warned the press that they're completely wrong in this story, noting you've had a very bad week, and this is return. He's also referring to the Kavanaugh fest that the media again pulled up again. You've had a very bad week, and this will be better than all of them. This is another one, so keep playing it out because you're going to look really bad when it falls. And I guess I'm about 22-0, and I'll keep it that way. Keep asking questions and building it up as big as possible so you can have a bigger downfall. And that's it right there, guys. That is it right there. So, again, the Dems have tried to go after Trump again. It's not going to work. And now the Biden story is out, and now everybody knows about Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. So let's take into Hunter Biden here. Now, that video that Trump was just talking about Joe Biden threatening to pull $1 billion in loan guarantees from Ukraine if it didn't immediately fire Prosecutor General Viktor Shokin. He's bragging about this, guys, and here's the video of it.
I was, not I, but it just happened to be that was the assignment I got. I got all the good ones, so I got Ukraine, and I remember going over convincing our team, or others, to convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired.
He got fired. So he was holding this $1 billion loan guarantees, this carrot, above the Ukraine until they fired Prosecutor General Viktor Shokin. And this prosecutor, he was fired, was leading a corruption investigation into a company that employed Biden's son Hunter. Now this is all over the place now. We've known about this for a long time. I've known about it for a long time. But the rest of the country, maybe the rest of the world, didn't really know. But now they do, thanks to Trump again. And the Dems failed attempt to go after Trump again for another impeachment. And now the shitstorm has arrived, especially for Biden. So let's look at this. Red State. As predicted, that Trump-Ukraine whistleblower story just blew up in epic fashion. Earlier this morning, I wrote a piece predicting that this story about Trump and Ukraine supposedly involving a quid pro quo in an investigation request into Joe Biden would blow up. The centerpiece of that was Biden being on tape bragging that he threatened to withhold $1 billion in loan guarantees if Ukraine didn't fire a prosecutor. That prosecutor just happened to be going after his son's company. Just a coincidence, I'm assured. Somehow, though, this became a Trump scandal because a supposed whistleblower claimed that the president had pressured Ukraine to investigate Biden's very apparent corruption. I know it makes no sense, but that's how it works in the age of Orange Man Bad. Somehow being on tape extorting a country wasn't a big deal, but Trump wanting an investigation into it by our ally was impeachable. The media immediately went into leak and suspicion and supposition mode, claiming that Trump had threatened the new Ukrainian president by withholding of $250 million in military aid they desperately needed. This was it, we were told. It was a scandal that would finally bring Trump down, and then, like always, more information started to trickle out that countered the hysteria. President Trump in a July phone call repeatedly pressured the president of Ukraine to investigate Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden's son, urging Vladimir Zelensky about 8 times to work with Rudy Giuliani, his personal lawyer, on a probe, according to people familiar with the matter. He had told him that he should work with Mr. Giuliani on Biden, that people in Washington wanted to know whether allegations were true or not. One of the people said Mr. Trump didn't mention the provision of foreign aid to Ukraine on the call. Said this person, who didn't believe Mr. Trump offered the Ukrainian president any quid pro quo for his cooperation on an investigation. And there it is. There was no quid pro quo. He did not threaten to withhold any military aid. But the media made up a complete lie and said he did. He simply asked several times on a single phone call for them to look into it. He never even called back to press the issue further. None of the nonsensical gnashing of teeth we heard all day about this supposedly being an impeachment bombshell is true. The president asked an ally to investigate corruption against the United States, that Biden himself attempted to on tape. What else is there to say, guys? So, let's look at Hunter, right? So, why were we looking into Hunter Biden? Well, this was part of a thread by Ben Talmadge. And let's take a look. Hunter Biden's BHR also invests in China General Nuclear Power Group. So who is this group, you ask? In November 2015, CGN acquired Malaysia's 1MBD energy assets, but in 2016, DOJ charged this China General Nuclear Power Group with stealing nuclear secrets from the U.S. stretching back almost 2 decades. And you can see it here. China Nuclear Power Group is a major energy corporation. And the council, this is just talking about what they're into, how they changed their name. In November 2015, the company and its subsidiaries agreed to acquire One Malaysia Development Berhad's energy assets worth about $2.3 billion. And in 2016, the U.S. Justice Department charged CGN with stealing nuclear secrets from the United States. The Guardian reported, according to the U.S. Department of Justice, the FBI has discovered that the China CGN has been engaged in a conspiracy to steal U.S. nuclear secrets stretching back almost 2 decades. Both CGN and one of the corporation's senior advisors, Xu Xing-ho, have been charged with conspiring to help the Chinese government develop nuclear material in a manner that is in clear breach of U.S. law. And Hunter Biden was investing into this company. This company was stealing nuclear secrets from U.S. military. But you know what? Trump's an asshole. How dare he? How dare he ask to look into this to be investigated? He needs to be impeached. What an absolute joke. So, that's one thing. And let's not forget, here we go again. After Biden's son was discharged from Navy for cocaine use, Ukraine paid Hunter Biden $50,000 per month to be on board of directors of state-owned natural gas company. Hunter Biden had no experience in Ukraine business world or NG industry, so you tell me. And again, this is Biden talking about Trump, how he's gonna, crush Trump in the campaign, and that Trump's using all this fear mongering, and this is him just, I don't know, you can call it talk, I guess. Him just going on and on and on. This is what panic looks like right here. And let's not forget, Hunter Biden had sex with his dead brother's wife. Hunter Biden was stopped with a crack pipe in his center console. Hunter Biden was kicked out of the Navy for cocaine use. Hunter Biden is currently under investigation by the Ukraine. But hey, real Donald Trump made a phone call. You can't make this stuff up, guys. You really can't. So, that's that for right now. This is going to be a continuing story, which, as the days go on, it's going to get bigger and bigger. The media is going to have to report on it. And again, they're going to look like idiots, as usual. But let's keep going. Now this, guys, this scared me a little bit. This is again on routers. Ghost post. Google creates the world's most powerful computer. NASA accidentally reveals, and then the publication vanishes. Google's new quantum computer reportedly spends mere minutes on the task the world's top supercomputers would need several millennia to perform. The media found out about this after NASA accidentally shared the firm's research. The software engineers at Google have built the world's most powerful computer, the Financial Times and Fortune magazine reported on Friday, citing the company's now removed research paper. You can't find it anywhere, guys. It's crazy. It was out there. The paper is said to have been posted on a website hosted by NASA, which partners with Google, but later quickly taken down without explanation. Because Google probably freaked out and told NASA, hey, what are you guys doing? Google and NASA have refused to comment on the matter. A source within the IT giant, however, told Fortune that NASA had accidentally published the paper before its team could verify its findings. In the research, Google reportedly claimed that it takes their new quantum processor just around 200 seconds to make calculations that existing supercomputers require around 10,000 years to perform. They also said the processor requires a mere 30 seconds to complete, a task that Google Cloud Server would need 50 trillion hours to do. Quantum computing allows evaluating multiple possibilities at once and performing complex calculations not possible on normal computers. So if proven true, Google's new processor would be a real breakthrough, propelling the firm way ahead of giants like Microsoft, IBM, and Intel, all of whom compete in building quantum processors. Quantum processors will create new advanced chemicals and develop next-level artificial intelligence, among other things. So what are those other things, you ask? Right here. Modern military cryptography will also eventually be rendered obsolete given the number of qubits in Google's quantum computers will double at least every year, according to the report, growing at double exponential rate, which is even faster than Moore's law. At this rate, Google will be able to break all military encryption by 2024, a frightening prospect given the company's close ties to China. The prospects of Google controlling such vast supercomputer power when it applies to the field of surveillance is also chilling. Google will rapidly come to dominate the world, controlling most of the money, all speech, all politics, most science and technology, most of the news media, and all public officials, writes Mike Adams. This is one opinion, guys, so don't go too crazy. Google will become the most dominant, controlling authoritarian force on the planet Earth, and all humans will be subservient to its demands. Reading that's like, okay, let's take a chill pill on that. Let's see. So again, Google's announcement that it has achieved quantum supremacy with a 53-qubit quantum computer greases the skids for all cryptocurrency and military secrets protected by cryptography to be breakable in this stunning new development that will change the world. So everyone knows about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and all that. This has everything to do with that. With these quantum computers, Google can actually own all the Bitcoin, and that can then turn into money. And if they control the money, then, they have the most power. So, and that's also talking about artificial intelligence as well. Making super, super, super smart computers, super, super smart artificial intelligence. So, I thought that was very interesting that this came out. Again, Google didn't want it to come out. They took it down. They told NASA to take it down, obviously. The research paper was out there for a couple of days, but then it disappeared, and there was no comments on it. But now we know it exists. And Google has it, and we all know what Google is all about right now. Scary stuff, guys. Okay, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of the episode today. So, as everyone knows, the started on Friday. All these reports coming out that kids in schools all over the world were protesting climate change, or protesting for climate change, not going to school because they want to make a difference. They want to change the climate. All terrified they're going to be dying, 10, 15, 20 years, right? So what happens? They need a face for this movement coming, right? A young child. And this is where Greta comes in. I don't have her last name right now, but I'm sure we'll get into it. So I didn't bring it up. I don't have the video, but Greta was, she's being dragged around all over the place, giving her speech on climate change, saying how she demands change. We're not doing enough as a species, yelling and screaming. She's a 16-year-old who now is the expert on climate change, apparently, and is saying that we're all going to die, and it's, triggering a movement now with the young kids, especially. So it just bothers me because we're going to look into the facts about climate change right after this. But I wanted to get into more of who this girl was and who was backing her. What's her story? So I found this thread here. This is from Wide Awake, Q Army Swiss Division. A quick look at Greta and her Masonic cabal ancestry and the people that are backing her. This is going to blow your mind, guys. Here in Europe, we had the joy of MK Greta for quite some time now. This is the most obvious social engineering operation I've seen for quite some time. And this is her, guys, if you haven't seen her. She is all over the internet right now. The World Economic Forum. And here's some pictures of her. It looks like with a Swedish student leader wins European Union pledge to spend billions on climate. And it's just disgusting. So 1, where does she come from? A relative of her father, the chemist Svante Arrhenius, is the founder of the global warming scam. So a relative of her father, the chemist Svante Arrhenius, is the founder of the global warming scam. So this goes back to her lineage. He was a Swedish physicist and a physical chemist who formulated the theory of electrolytic dissociation, for which he was awarded the 1903 Nobel Prize, one of the founding fathers of physical chemistry, and also presented a revolutionary model of the greenhouse effect. And again, it's just talking more about his awards. But he is the father of the greenhouse effect. He was a colleague of Alfred Nobel, who was a Russian Rockefeller, and later, after his death, director of the Nobel Institute. He was a board member of the Swedish Society for Racial Hygiene and a eugenicist. See a pattern here? And this is just some excerpts from that. And he was a board member of the Swedish Society of the Racial Hygiene, which endorsed Mendelism at the time and contributed to the topic of contraceptives around 1910. However, until 1938, information and sale of these contraceptives was prohibited in the Kingdom of Sweden. Around 1930, conservative members of the society helped to establish eugenics policies in Sweden. Gordenstein wrote that Svante Arrhenius was an atheist. In his last years, he wrote both textbooks and popular books trying to emphasize the need for further work on the topics he discussed. And it goes on. There's also a Strange Magazine article. Oh, look, it's about a gendered lifestyle. An assemblage of science and home, the gendered lifestyle of Svante Arrhenius, and early 20th century physical chemistry. Very interesting. And Thunberg is a known Freemason family. Freemason. The ancestor of her mother was a natural philosopher, and here we have in brackets, social engineer from Uppsala, who has ties to Bavarian Illuminati founder Adam Weishaupt. And this is a picture of her right here. Illuminati, guys. This is her lineage. This little girl. This is all connected. God forbid you'd see the media dig into this. And let's look at this girl's handler. So you guys have a little bit of a background. Just to recap. A relative of her father's was again the chemist Svante Arrhenius, who is the founder and the guy that brought in the model of the greenhouse effect, who is also related to Alfred Nobel, who's a Russian Rockefeller, and also related to a known Freemason family. The ancestor of her mother was a natural philosopher who has ties to a Bavarian Illuminati founder. Can't make this stuff up, guys. Do your own research and find it yourself. It's all here. It's all out there. People are doing good work here. Look at her handler. On the photos behind her, you see Luisa Maria Neubauer, her handler. She's a member of one foundation managed by Bono, Bill Gates, and George Soros. And there she is. Why does a 16-year-old girl need a handler? What kind of agenda are they pushing? Oh, here's the agenda. They operate like in the Chinese Cultural Revolution. They want the kids to hate the old for killing their planet, their Earth. They radicalize the kids against the adults violently. They push for totalitarianism. The Chinese Cultural Revolution led to the death of 100 million people. And as you can see here, democracy is the planet's biggest enemy. Young people care a lot about climate change, but most of them can't vote. Here's how government can adapt to accommodate them. This is in Sweden, guys. This is the plan. It's not about the climate. It's about getting rid of democracy and getting socialism into the country, communism. This is what it's all about. Now, this is crazy. I don't know if I buy into it all the way, but this is a picture, obviously. The movement is called Fridays for Future. FFF equals 666. Also note how they style her hair. Looks like German to me. Very similar. And the last one I want to show you guys here is this picture. And you guys all know about the Illuminati symbol. Hand over the eye. Hand over the eye. And the thread goes on. It goes for a really long time. We're not going to get into everything. But that's just to give you guys a background of who this girl is. Because the media is not going to tell you about it. So let's look. What has the climate experts been right about? That's right. Absolutely nothing. Let's see. For more than 50 years, climate alarmists in the scientific community and environmental movement have not gotten even one prediction correct, but they do have a perfect record of getting 41 predictions wrong. In other words, on at least 41 occasions, these so-called experts have predicted some terrible environmental catastrophes were imminent, and it never happened. And not once, not even once, had these alarmists had their one predictions come true. Think about that. The so-called experts are 0-41 with their predictions, but those of us who are skeptical of expert prediction number 42, the one that says if we don't immediately convert to socialism and allow AOC to control and organize our lives, the planet will become uninhabitable. Why would any sane person listen to someone with an 0-41 record? And here's the list, guys. This is going back to the 60s. And we're going to get into that. We're going to get into the actual articles because I found those as well. Let's just look at some. 1967, dire famine forecast by 1975, never happened. Ice age by 2000, never happened. New ice age coming by 2020 or 2030, not happening. In 72, a new ice age by 2070. In 1970, world will use up all its natural resources. Oil gone in 10 years, oil depleted in 20 years. Peak oil 2000, peak oil 2020, peak oil in 2010. Super hurricanes. Manhattan will be underwater by 2015. That was just in 2005. We're in 2019, still above water. And let's look. Oh, 1970s killer bees. Let's just throw that one in there. So, I looked and found some of these articles, and I'm going to put all these links in here, guys, to show all your friends and family, if they do believe and they're buying all this garbage, to show them the facts. Show them, contradict what they're saying. Show them why this is wrong. Modern doomsayers have been predicting climate and environmental disasters since the 1960s. They continue to do so today. None of the apocalyptic predictions with due dates as of today have come true. What follows in a collection of notably wild predictions from notable people in government and science. More than merely spotlighting the failed predictions, this collection shows that the makers of failed apocalyptic predictions often are individuals holding respected positions in government and science. While such predictions have been and continue to be enthusiastically reported by a media eager for sensational headlines and the push of socialism, the failures are typically not revisited. Dire famine 75, we just talked about that. This is from 1969. The trouble with almost all environmental problems, says Paul E. Ehrlich, the population biologist, is that by the time we have enough evidence to convince people, you're all dead. We must realize that unless we are extremely lucky, everybody will disappear in a cloud of blue steam in 20 years. 1970, scientists predict a new ice age by 21st century. Didn't happen. October's, again, 1970. Outspoken ecologists speak, and it does not need saving. The oceans will be as dead as Lake Erie in less than a decade. U.S. scientists sees new ice age coming. This is when? 1971. And we're going to keep going. New ice age coming, that was 1974. Another ice age, 74. 74, 76, the cooling. A young climatologist at the National Center for Atmospheric Research in Boulder, Colorado, reflecting the consensus of the climatological community. It's just, guys, acid rain kills life in lakes. That was 1980. But 10 years later, the U.S. government program formed to study acid rain, and it concluded, acid rain, no environmental crisis. 1978, no one in sight due 30-year cooling trend. But according to the NASA satellite data, there's a slight warming trend since 1979. Are you seeing the picture, guys? There's no true consensus on any of this stuff. All this stuff put out by newspapers and media outlets, they're all wrong. They're all wrong. They're trying to spin this. It's fear. It gets people to buy papers. It gets people afraid. It gets people to make emotional decisions that they wouldn't otherwise make. It's a global push for socialism. We obviously can't save our planet, so we're going to give up all of our rights to the people that are in our government to do it for us. That's what it's coming down to. So you guys can look at this yourself. There is so many more, but I want to get into the last part here and to show you. This is another link. I'm going to link all this stuff. These are scientists on realclimatescience.com. They have all their links, they have all their work, all here for everyone to see. It's open source. This was just, let's see, the 21st September, so 2 days ago. They show ice loss since September 16th and ice gain since September 16th. And as you guys can see, the green is all ice gain. All ice gain. There is some red on this part here. But look, majority of it is growing. The ice cap's actually growing. Look at that. Look at that. And look, since 2012, another map. This is to September 21st. Look at all that gain. 7 years ago. Look how much we've gained. So guys, are you seeing my point here? Will the media show these pictures here? They won't. What if the kids saw these pictures? What would they say? This is fake news? Because all the research is all out here, and there you can see the bars. This is a small bar on the right side here. They have all the research here, more graphs, more than anything you could possibly want, and they update this site all the time. All the time. There has been some ice loss on parts of the cap. But look at this. The red here and the red here. Does that even come close to how much the caps have gained on these sides? It's not even close. This is what I'm talking about, guys. Adults are brainwashing their kids right now. The media is brainwashing their kids right now. You can see the amount of hate these kids are having towards older people. You can see it. It's everywhere. It's a push for socialism. That's what it is. It's not about the environment. And don't get me wrong, guys. We can all do better being better humans to better serve this planet. That is for sure. Climate change is a real thing, but it's not what the media is peddling to us. It's not. There's way more factors that are out of human control, in fact, like cosmic rays, solar rays, cloud cover, all that stuff. But you never hear anybody talk about that. It's put on humans because humans are the problem. We are destroying our planet, and in some ways we are, and in those ways we can get better. I'm not saying that that's not a problem, but it's not going to be a point to where we're going to run out of food, we're going to destroy the ozone, which in fact the ozone has actually gotten stronger. But the media won't talk about that either. It's just a push, guys, to take away power from the masses. And that's what it is. And now they want to go after the kids because they can grow a whole new generation of these climate kids, I guess you can call them. And I'm all for being a better steward of the planet. That's not a problem. I have no issue with that. Again, we can all be better. But this is the agenda I'm trying to push out to you guys to show you this is what is going on. This is what's actually going on. So that's going to end this episode. I have a lot more stuff to get into during the week. We're all waiting for Q to come back any day now. I can't wait for Q to come back, but there's been more than enough content, more than enough things to talk about. So guys, again, thank you for listening to this channel. Thank you for liking, subscribing, sharing. Please, if you haven't already, just hit that like button. It takes 1 second. Just hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. I'm trying to hit, my goal I didn't think I was going to be getting close to 450, but we're at 431 now. If I can hit 500 subscribers by the end of this month, I will be absolutely ecstatic. I have to open a business account so I can get donations start coming in. I would like to make some monetary, I would like to make some money at some point for doing all this. But I love doing this. I don't mind doing this. This is all for the better movement and to help people, to really see through the garbage that's being shown to us every day. So I want to get a nice woke society sign over here, nice neon sign, and really start, bringing this channel to the real big places. It is growing, and I'm so happy for it. So guys, again, please share, like, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Show your friends and family. And until then, stay woke.